QuickBooks Online, setting up your first balance sheet. This is Ken Boyd with the Accounting Accidentally website, and I'm going to jump over to QuickBooks Online. And you'll see that I'm on a trial version, which you can try too, for Ridgetop Clothing is my company. And on the prior video, I personalized my QuickBooks system and we took a tour of the home page. That's what I did last time. What I'm doing now is I set up my first balance sheet. So let's assume I'm keeping my books in Excel or some other form, and I'm going to set it up in QuickBooks by setting up a balance sheet, because the balance sheet is the one financial document that we roll forward month after month after month, as opposed to the income statement, which closes at the end of every month. So if I go to Transactions and I click on Chart of Accounts, this is the chart of accounts that I was given when I set up my system, with one exception. I added a checking account. And the way I did that was, if I go up here to New, Category Type, you get a drop-down menu and all kinds of categories, including bank, which is what I set up for checking. If I click on that, there's checking. You can do a description. Excuse me. It could be a sub-account of another account, and you can do a beginning balance. So that's how I set up the checking account. Every other account, almost all of them, were already set up in here. You'll also notice that there's balances here. The checking balance I entered manually. I went to View Register and I went to Edit. There's an edit function, and I put in a balance of $1,000. If I go back to my checking account, the next question is, well, how did I get the balance for all these other accounts? Well, if you go to this drop-down menu, you'll see there's my cash balance. If you go, which is the hourglass, your most recent transactions, your clock. If you go to the center one, Other Transactions, Journal Entry. What I did was make a journal entry for all my transactions. So if I went to journal entry number 1, enter, you're going to go back and see the journal entries that I made. So this is one method you can do to go find your journal entries. Let's go to the hourglass and go to journal entry number 1. Leave without saving, yes. And there's journal entry number 1. So what did I put in? You'll notice also that debits equal credits. It's a balance entry. It does not include cash, but this does post all the other balances I needed to start. So I created a current asset account, accounts receivable, and I had to input a customer. If I go to the drop down, that's a customer. Did that. Prepaid expenses, a current asset, 4,000. Accounts payable, liability balance to start, 5,000. Tough Denim is my vendor. If I click on here and here, Tough Denim's a vendor. I have a notes payable balance, and the difference I posted to retained earnings. And if you slide to the bottom, you'll see the debits equal credits. So that was my journal entry number 1 to set up my balance sheet account. So if I X out of this, leave without saving, yes. There are my balances. Let's go to the reports section. Again, I think this is one of the great features, one of the best features of QuickBooks Online, that they have a great, easy to use and visually appealing setup for their reports. So let's go down and see if we can run a balance sheet. Balance sheet, see what we get. We're going to use the accrual basis of accounting, which means that you count income and expense as soon as you know the invoice or receive a bill before you actually receive or pay money. In other words, we book revenue so we can match revenue with expenses regardless of when the cash moves. You want to use the accrual basis of accounting, not cash, because cash only posts entries when you either receive cash or you pay it. So we're going to use the accrual basis. I'm going to hit Finish, and you see that I have a balance sheet. There's my cash or bank balance, accounts receivable and prepaids to add up to $35,000 in total assets. Accounts payable, $5,000, long-term liabilities, which is the note payable $20,000. You'll notice that opening balance in equity, $1,000, that's my cash balance that I put in at the beginning. That's like an owner contributing cash into the business. That's why it goes to opening balance equity. I've noticed that that's been confusing for QuickBooks users over the years. My total equity is $10,000 and my assets equals liabilities plus equity. So what we've seen is, if I go back to transactions and then I go back to the home page, if I click on plus journal entry, recent, number 1, I see that journal entry that I did to set up my balance sheet account excluding the cash account, and I was able to go in by going to reports, balance sheet, and the journal entry plus my cash entry created a balanced balance sheet using the accrual basis so I can start running my business. So that's as far as we'll get right now. Remember, the Accounting Accidentally website, accountingaccidentally.com, webinars, 350 YouTube videos including the QuickBooks Online stuff, how you can work with me, and also remember the Accounting Ed site where we have dozens of hours of live training for all things accounting. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.